I remember what it was like to not be good at women. And I remember the feelings I had, even though they were a long time ago, 15, 20 years plus now, but I remember that time in my life very vividly. And before I get into that, this is Caleb Jones, if you didn't know, Alpha Male 2.0, freedom-focused lifestyle design for men. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We do 5 videos a week here on how to make both your woman life and your business life more free, because you need both, not just one or the other. We're going to talk about woman life today. By the way, we are doing an online course drawing giveaway right now. This is my online course on how you can design your own location independent business. It normally retails for $1,400, and you might be able to get it for free. All you need to do is be a subscriber here at YouTube, like this video, and leave a comment, and I will announce the winners every 2 weeks at the YouTube community feed here at this YouTube channel. Okay, so I lost my virginity late in life, at least compared to most guys. I was either 22 or 23 years old. I don't remember which one. I'd have to really figure that out. I've never bothered to go back and figure that out because I don't want to relive that part of my life. But this is back when I was a young beta male. I dated girls. I went on dates. I made out with girls. I did stuff with girls. But I never had sex until I was 23, 22 years old. I'll say 23. And at about that time, my early 20s, 22, 23 years old, somewhere in there, I was dating. We weren't having sex, but I was dating a woman who was pretty. She was 8 years older than me, so she was like 30, 31. I was 23 at the time. I really liked her. She was very smart. She was very hot. She was very fun. She was very small, very tiny, which is the way I like them. And we were going on dates, and I kept trying to make my move, but I didn't know how because I was a beta and I was scared. I had no woman skills whatsoever. I was just flying by the seat of my pants. I had no training in this area. I had never read a book on dating. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I had hardcore one-itis because that's what guys get when there's one girl on the radar, especially if she's pretty. So I had hardcore one-itis for this woman. I was terrified that she would leave someday. And we dated for a few weeks. And then, matter of fact, I've mentioned her before on one of my older podcasts, a long time ago. And one day I was in my office and she actually has sent me a letter, like a paper letter. This is before the internet. This was, the mid 90s or so. We had an internet, but no one used it. So people actually sent letters back then. So she actually sent me a letter breaking up with me and telling me that she had gone back to her ex, who, by the way, treated her like shit. That doesn't sound familiar at all, does it? I'm sure that's never happened to any of you, has it? No. The woman breaks up with you. You're the nice guy, so she dumps you and goes back to the asshole. Yeah, that never happens. And back then I was so confused. But I'm a nice person. Why'd she go back to the asshole? All she did was complain about what an asshole he was. How come she's not fucking me? Why is she fucking him? That doesn't make any logical sense. Makes perfect sense if you understand women, but I didn't understand women back then. And I'll be super honest with you. This is where I wasn't beta. Well, kind of. This is where I wasn't traditionally beta. Let's put it that way. So I remember reading this letter. This was, 20, 25 years ago now. I remember reading this letter. And when I realized she was breaking up with me, my first thought, and this is literally my first thought, it wasn't like, oh no, I've lost her, or oh no, I need to get her back. It wasn't those one-itis-y thoughts. Instead, my first thought was, oh great, it's now going to be 6 months before I have sex again. That was my thought. I wanted to have sex. I'm a high sex drive guy. And so I'm like, okay, if my one source of maybe sex, we weren't having sex, is now gone, I don't know how to get anyone new into my sex life, so I'm just going to have to flounder around for 6 months and stumble into sex again, which is kind of how betas do it, right? So, and I was almost right. I think it took me 4 months. I'd have to go back and figure this out, but I think it took me 4 months to have sex again, but that was almost 6 months, so I wasn't completely off. And I remember how painful that was. I remember feeling how scared I felt, and how deprived I felt, and how nervous I felt, and how powerless and helpless I felt. That's the word I was looking for. How powerless and helpless I felt to be at the whim of the one woman I'm seeing, for her to say, no, I don't want to see you anymore. And now my life is upside down because I literally can't even have sex. I remember how that felt, and I remember those feelings, even though it was a long, long, long time ago. Matter of fact, as I'm talking about it, I'm reliving it, I can really start to kind of remember those feelings. Those are not good feelings. So you guys who write in about that, you guys who make comments about that, or send me email about that, believe me, I remember those days, and I don't remember them fondly. So then what did I do? Well, if you know my story, this is not the topic of this video. I got married because I was a beta male and I was stupid. The marriage didn't work, got divorced age 35, and that's where I made my switch to alpha male 2.0. And at that point, after that divorce, I made the decision, remembering those feelings that I had, not only from dating prior to my marriage, but also being monogamously married. I remember those feelings, and I remember saying, okay, I need to figure out how to make my woman life work well, how to bring new women into my sex life or dating life whenever I need that to happen. And making sure those women are cute, because I had a bunch of friends, not a bunch. I had 2 or 3 guys in particular who got laid a lot. This is back when I was a young guy. They got laid a lot. They were banging women left and right, but all the girls were ugly, or at least average. Very rare. Every once in a while they get a hot girl, every once in a while. And they were so excited when it happened because it didn't happen very often. So I remember those guys when I was 35, in my 20s, and I remember thinking, okay, I don't want to be like those guys. I want to be able to bring in women who are attractive. And I talk about that 4-level scale. Ugly, average, cute, hot. So at least cute. At least cute. Ideally hot, but at least cute. And I have to learn how to do this. And that's when I started subscribing to, back then, this is a long time ago. This is probably around, no, I can tell you exactly when this was, 2007. So I subscribed, even when I was married, I subscribed to David D'Angelo's pickup letter or email newsletter I used to have back then. It was a question and answer thing, very similar to the newsletter I have now. But anyway, so I remember subscribing to that, and through him I found the pickup artist community, which I thought were a bunch of losers who would go to clubs and wear like feather boas and goggles and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? But I still looked into it, and I started extracting things that they said that would apply to me as an older guy, slightly older, 35. And I started practicing these skills, and I've written about this in great detail, the Black Dragon blog called My History with Women. It's about 18, 19 different installments in that. I go through the entire process and all my experiences. But my point here is, I learned dating skills. I learned some pickup artist skills. Some of them didn't work, but some of them worked. Some of them not only worked, they worked better than I thought. And then I experimented with some new things based on my online dating that I was doing, because this is back when not a lot of guys were doing online dating. I experimented with those, and some things I experimented with didn't work and blew up my face. Some of them worked really well. Little things like not kissing on the first date and going for sex on the second date and making the first date very short. Things like that I experimented worked fantastically well. And as you already know, if you know my story, that was 2007. By 2009, my woman life was basically handled. In terms of my sex life, I was able to, within 2 years, be at the point where I could go online, and it would take some effort, but I could do certain things and bring at least 1 or 2 new attractive women into my dating life. And so I was covered. And then I learned non-monogamous relationships and things like that. But the relationship aspect is a topic for another time. I'm talking here about you having the ability to bring new women into your sex life or dating life, whatever you want. And the challenge with some people, some guys on the internet, is that they say things like, pickup skills are bullshit, or PUA gurus are scammers, or dating skills don't work. It's 100% about SMV. If you don't have six-pack abs or make $1 million a year, you literally can't get laid. These guys are objectively wrong, because I have experienced the exact opposite. A lot of these skills, now, that doesn't mean some people who sell dating advice aren't scammers. There are some. Not as many as a lot of people like to say, but there are some, and there have been throughout the last 15 years or so. That does happen. That isn't to say that a lot of dating skills or pickup skills that are taught are stupid and don't fucking work. Or, more accurately, they work in certain isolated scenarios that apply to the guy teaching them. You know, the hardcore, young, extroverted night game guy who loves to go out and get drunk and meet women at bars and clubs at 2 o'clock in the morning. There are techniques that will work for guys like him that wouldn't work for a guy like me, for example. And there are techniques that are for a guy like me would work really well, that younger, more extroverted guy would never use, and it would never work in his world. Make sense? So yes, that does happen. But that doesn't mean that these skills don't work. They work. And they work extraordinarily well as long as you actually do them and practice them and get good at them. When you denigrate Pickup artist skills, or dating skills if that's a more digestible phrase for you. Let's call them dating skills. If you denigrate these things, you're virtually guaranteeing that you're never going to have a high quality sex life. Unless you get really lucky, or you make $1 billion someday, or you get six-pack abs, and the vast majority of you watch this video are never going to do either one of those things. Let's be honest about this. That is also to say, let me say this real quick. That is also to say that SMV doesn't matter. So when guys say SMV, 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 they're not 100% wrong. They're partially wrong. It does help a lot to make a lot of money, obviously. It does help a lot to be ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime and have six-pack abs. Obviously, those things help. But that's not 100% of it. I've said this a million times. I hate repeating it, but I'll repeat it once again. If you look around on YouTube, you will see guys on YouTube who are ripped with six-pack abs, who are crying into the camera because they never kissed a girl before. There was a guy named Elliot Rodger a few years ago who had never kissed a girl in his life, and he went crazy and shot up a bunch of people and then killed himself. What people didn't realize was, or at least didn't talk about, was this guy was really, really good looking. He was really good looking, and he was rich. He was from a wealthy family. He drove a Porsche or something. He couldn't get laid. He couldn't even kiss a girl. Therefore, dating skills are a significant factor. So don't denigrate these things. Learn them. Now, if you hate my techniques, fine. Learn someone else's techniques. I don't care which ones you learn. As I've talked about in Alpha Male 2.0, there's 4 types of game. Not in Alpha Male 2.0, but just globally. There's night game, day game, online dating, and social circle game. And in Alpha Male 2.0, you can pick any one of those 3. I don't care which one you pick. I do online dating. If you hate online dating, great, don't do it. Do social circle game, do day game, do night game, do something else. I don't care, but the point is you have to learn the skill set for one of those things and get very, very good at it. And you'll never get good at it if you say these things don't work. Pickup's bullshit, it's a scam, it doesn't work. It's all about SMV. You're guaranteeing you'll never get laid. Or not never get laid, you'll never get a quality sex life. Even total losers and beta males sometimes get laid. Little different than my life, but all right, fine. But you get my point. You have to acknowledge the importance of these things and get good at these things. So, anytime you see this negativity on the internet, just ignore it and focus back on one of the 4 dating styles you want to get good at. Night game, day game, online dating, or social circle, I don't care which one. Pick one, get the resources and the techniques so you can get good at this, or at least decent at this. And yes, it wouldn't hurt to improve your SMV too if you want to anyway. Alpha Male 2.0 is about $75,000 a year location dependent income, right? So that's something that would help your SMV right there, wouldn't it? For a lot of you guys, fine, get that done too. Also get that done. Get those done in tandem. Don't say, I'm gonna bust my ass and work 30 years and get a Ferrari and then pick up girls. I get a lot of questions like that. Hey Caleb, should I wait till I'm really rich to start hitting on attractive women? You fucking moron, no. No, no. And I've said this a million times, I'll say this again. When I was at the peak height of my dating activity back around 2009, 2010, 2000, somewhere in there, I lived in a shitty little house in a lower middle class neighborhood with no furniture, with nothing on the walls. The grass was 3 feet high. The house across from me had like 27 Mexicans living in it. I drove an 8-year-old car. I was much more overweight than I am now. On and on and on and on. Now, that meant that I had to put in more time and more effort into my dating skills. I had to put in more numbers because my attrition rates were pretty high because I wasn't very attractive in terms of being a guy, in terms of the SMB stuff. But that's my point. And that's actually probably one of the reasons I got pretty good at these dating skills, because I had to. When you're an uglier guy or a chubbier guy or you're a poor guy, there's more pressure on you to learn these skills more than if you're a really good looking, confident guy already. Make sense? At least that's my theory. But anyway, that's my point. You understand what I'm saying? Please, please get, as David D'Angelo, even Pagan used to say 1 billion years ago, get the woman's side of your life handled. Get it handled so you're comfortable with it, you're in a good place with it for the rest of your life. By the way, handled does not mean you settle for an average-looking monogamous girlfriend or wife. That is not handled. As I've discussed numerous times in my blogs and my videos, that will not make you happy long term. It might make you okay for 6 months or a year or two. Long term, that's not going to cut it. You've got to get your dating life, your woman life, your relationship life handled, and you cannot denigrate the skills necessary to make that worth. Both pickup skills, dating skills, and relationship management skills, both of which are critical in Alpha 2.0. You need both these skill sets. Then you can relax and put this on autopilot, which I did many years ago. Cool? Cool. If you need help with these types of skills, you can go to joinsmic.com. That is my mentorship and audio training program. We talk about these skills a lot. Otherwise, in the meantime, you can click here to find out whether or not you should have kids, or you can click here for my recent podcast on time management. See you soon.